Amazon ads can be a lucrative way to improve your book sales. But if you've never used them before, you're probably like a deer in the headlights. You might be overwhelmed and you just have no idea where to start. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to set up ads in the Amazon Ads dashboard, what things you should be paying attention to, what things you should be ignoring, and by the end of this video, you will have the confidence that you need to get your first ads going to give you a chance at increasing your book sales. I'm here in the Amazon Ads dashboard, and the way you get here is by going to advertising.amazon.com. Just takes a few moments to create an account. I believe it's tied to your regular Amazon account, so it shouldn't take you that long. And when you get here, your dashboard is going to look a lot different than mine. It's going to look pretty empty, and that's okay. I've customized mine a little bit, and I'll walk through how you can customize yours as well. Now, over on the left-hand side of the screen here, we've got the ability to look at campaigns or portfolios. We're going to talk about campaigns here in a few minutes, but portfolios essentially are folders. So as you create ads, you're going to create ads for one of your books. And as you create more ads for that book, you want a portfolio that's named after that book so you can put all the ads for that book into that portfolio to see how all of those ads are performing as a group. So it's really just a folder that houses all of your ads. And you can create a portfolio by clicking this portfolio button here. All right. And as you can see, I've got portfolios for all of my different books that I'm advertising. All right. So as you build out your ads, it'll start to look a little bit more like mine. Now, in the center of the screen here, we've got some indicators. We've got the name of a particular portfolio that I'm looking at, and you can tell that it is on. The ads are delivering because it says delivering in green, and there is no budget cap. Now, I can institute a budget if I want to on my ads. If I click on this Modify Portfolio button here, I can put in a budget cap, or I can rename the portfolio, and I can put in a budget for a particular portfolio for, $10 a month or whatever I want that to be. Moving down, I've also got some metrics that I can track on this particular portfolio. Now, these are the metrics. I've customized mine. I'll show you how you can customize yours as well. These are the metrics that, to me, are the only ones that move the needle. They're the only ones that really matter. And that is spend, which is how much you're spending on a particular ad. There's impressions, which is how many times the ad gets shown to prospective readers. There's clicks, which is the number of times that readers click on the ads once they're shown to them. And then there's the CTR, which is click-through ratio, which is your clicks expressed as a percentage. And then there's cost per click. So out of all of your clicks, what are you paying on average for the clicks in that portfolio? Okay. The ones that matter to me are, if you click the X in here, these are the ones that matter, but you can customize and get it to look like mine if you want by clicking the X on any one of these here and then selecting Add Metric, and then you'll get a couple of options. Now, the options here, honestly, sales and orders. Sales is obviously the amount of money you've made in a particular time frame. Orders is the number of, quantified the number of books that you've sold. I wouldn't trust either of these metrics. Don't trust any of the sales data that Amazon gives you on Amazon ads because it's not accurate. I can tell you many, many times where I know I've made a sale from an ad, but it doesn't show up on the Amazon ads dashboard. So I don't track those. It just doesn't make any sense to do that. The only time I pay attention to sales are when I've had ads running for a little bit. I can look at the keyword report and see which ones generated sales. That gives me an idea, but it's not giving you the full picture. Okay. Now, there's also advertising cost of sales. I pay no attention to that, and I don't know any author that is successful with Amazon ads that pays any attention to this. Now, there are some people that swear by ACoS, and they think it's important. I can tell you that I've been fairly successful with Amazon ads without paying a single bit of attention to this. So I don't pay attention to ACoS. KENP read and estimated KENP royalties. That's if you're in Kindle Unlimited. Now, I'm not in Kindle Unlimited, so I don't pay any attention to that. But again, as I said, I wouldn't trust any of the sales data that this particular dashboard gives you. You're far better off relying on what KDP actually gives you themselves. And if you're traditionally published, I don't know what to tell you. All right, but these are the only things I would track here. Okay, spend, impressions, clicks, CTR, and CPC. All right. Now moving down, I also have some different views here. All right. So I can create a campaign by clicking on this blue button right here. I can search for a campaign if I know what the name of it is, and I'll talk to you about how I name my campaigns. And then you can also filter everything here. It's kind of like a big spreadsheet, and you can filter it by certain things. Usually what I do is I filter all my ads by active status. So I've got that selected here. But if I wanted to get rid of that, how I would do that is I would filter by active status. And then this way, this is only going to show me the ads that are currently on and running, because I don't really care about the ads that are off, right? So then down here, I've got some different columns, all right? And I'll have to scroll down just a little bit. Now, moving down, I've got some different columns here, all right? Now, I can tell whether the ad is on because this little blue check mark is checked. I've got the name. I've got whether it's delivering. I've got the different type of ad that it is. We'll talk about that. The start date, the end date, the daily budget, all right? And then I've got the number of impressions, the number of clicks, CTR, spend, CPC, and then if I go over, I've also got the ability to copy an ad if I want. Now, you can customize this view as well. So let's say I want to look at some additional parameters. I can click this columns button, and I can select customize columns, and then I can also, if I wanted to, put in orders, sales, and ACOS. All right. And then if I scroll over, I've got those here as well. All right. So these are things that you can do if you want to do that. You can also select the date range. You can filter by today, yesterday, this week, last month. You know, the ones I use mostly are today, yesterday, this week, this month, and last month. But you have different options. Now, when you select the Create Campaign button, you come to this screen. There are 3 different types of campaigns. Sponsored products you will be using almost all of the time. Sponsored brands you will be using some of the time if you can. And then lock screen ads, I would recommend you don't use those at all unless you really know what you're doing because those are some tricky ads. All right. Those are the ads that appear on people's Kindles when they fall asleep. I've talked to a lot of people, seen a lot of people talk about these, and they're just not worth it if you're new to this. All right. You want to have some experience before you do those. All right. So let's create a sponsored products ad, and let's talk about the different types of sponsored products ads. But before we do that, I want to show you where these show up on Amazon. All right. So I'm going to go to Amazon real quick and show you what these ads actually look like so you know what we're talking about. All right. I'm at the top of a Amazon search bar. I just searched for urban fantasy. And this is on the top here. This is a sponsored brand ad. So this is an ad where the author is advertising a series. This is the most prominent type of ad that you'll see. Okay, I'm not going to click on it because I don't want to eat him up any clicks. All right, and then if I scroll down here, you'll also see that this top bar, these are all sponsored ads. So for urban fantasy, these ads are basically appearing at the top of the search. All right. So they look organic though. You know, readers are probably not even going to notice most of the time. But these are ads. All right. So these are what ads can also look like. All right. And then if I click on a product page here, I'll click on this one here. Click on the KDP page and I can scroll down and then it'll say products related to this item. All right. So here are some more ads. And these are all ads here. Now, what you can see here is that this ad right here has text, but this ad right here does not. So depending on whether you add text or not, this is what it's going to look like. Now, are ads with text more effective? I don't know. Sometimes it's better to have ads without text. I don't know. That's why you should experiment and see what works for you and just make sure you're tracking in the title of your ad whether you're using text or not, and then that'll help you figure it out. First things first, you have to choose an ad format. So we can do an ad with text or we can do an ad without text. I recommend that you experiment with both because both can be effective. Now, I've got a book that I would like to advertise. It's called 150 Self-Publishing Questions Answered. It's a book on writing, publishing, and marketing that I wrote for the Alliance of Independent Authors, ALLI. And I want to promote this book because I want to make ALLI some money and support the good things that they do. All right. So I can add this book here. And I've also got the paperback, and there's a large print edition of this book. Now, what I typically do is I will advertise the ebook and the paperback in the same ad when it lets me. All right. But it actually makes a lot of sense if you create separate ads for your ebook and your paperback. All right. The reason for it is because it's easier to track. There's no right or wrong way, but I'm usually pressed for time, so I will usually just add in both here when it lets me. Okay. So I've got the book added, and then there's two types of ads that we can create. The first ad is what's called an automatic ad. And the automatic ad, how that works is Amazon will take, it will look at the keywords in your book, it will look at the book description, it will look at the categories, and then it will go off and it will find books that it thinks are similar and relevant to your book. And then it will display your ad on those books. You basically don't have to do anything. Amazon does the heavy lifting for you. Now, automatic ads are great because they're really easy to set up. As you'll see here, it's just a few, it's a hop, skip, and a jump, and then you're done with the ad. The downside to automatic ads, while I recommend them and everyone should experiment with them, they can be kind of a hit and miss. Amazon's not as good at finding products that are relevant to yours as they claim that they are. So you may not see much success with these ads. But the beautiful thing about these ads is when you do see success, you find some amazing things that you would have never found, and you get recommended on products that you would have never thought of. So this is absolutely an ad that should be part of your arsenal. All right. Now, down here, we've got automatic targeting. All right. Now, in automatic targeting, Amazon is going to recommend a default bid. Now, what is a bid, you ask? Well, you and a bunch of other authors are competing to get your book positioned on a product page. And depending on how much you want to pay, you want to outbid another author. All right. Now, there's a lot that goes into bidding. It's too much for this, but essentially, you want to bid, but you don't want to bid too high, and you don't want to bid too low, because if you bid too low, then your book you'll never end up your ad will never get placed, right? But if you bid too high, then it's going to make it harder for you to make a profit from your ads, because why would you pay 78 cents when you could get away with 40 cents, right? So I always change the recommended bid. I never go with what Amazon recommends. All right. So, I usually start around 40 cents. All right. And then there is this negative keyword targeting. I'm just going to talk about it. I'm not going to actually do anything with it. You may find that there are certain keywords or products that you don't want your ad to appear on. And the reason you wouldn't want your ad to appear on these things is, one, maybe they're not relevant to your book, or sometimes what you could find is as you start to run ads based on certain keywords, you may find that readers are clicking on your ad on certain product pages, but then they're not actually buying your book because your ad showed up in the wrong place. Your copy was really good. Your cover was really good, but you got the wrong type of reader. So when you have those types of situations, you maybe want to put some keywords in here where you say, Amazon, maybe don't show that ad on particular books. Okay. And then you can also do the same thing with certain products that you don't want to target. Okay. That can save you some money over the long term. All right. Now we can also add in our text here, and I'll show you what this looks like. So there's a max of 150 characters here. The big thing with this is, make your ad copy punchy. Don't be boring. You got to kind of spruce it up as much as you can, but also don't put exclamation marks, question marks, dashes, or semicolons or anything like that in here. Keep it strictly to commas and periods. Otherwise, Amazon will probably reject your ad. All right. So if you want to preview what the ad looks like, this is what it's going to look like. And I showed you what the ads also look like on product pages. So you have an idea of what it will look like when it shows up on a product page as well. All right. And then I can go down here and select a campaign bidding strategy. Now, I always recommend dynamic bids down only. What this means is that if you enter in a bid of 40 cents, Amazon will charge you 40 cents for a bid, or it could charge you 35 cents or 30 cents. It will never spend more than your default bid. That's what you want to select. The dynamic bids up and down, you got to be careful, because they can drop your bid or they can raise your bid, and you can end up bidding more than your default amount, and you don't really want that. It's not budget conscious unless you really know what you're doing. All right. So I would recommend, just to get started, to make sure you want confidence that you're doing this the right way, I would do dynamic bids down only. All right. And then fixed bids, you really don't want to do that because Amazon is only going to use your exact bid. So you could put yourself out of the running a lot of the time with that. So just use dynamic bids down only to start. And then with campaigns, you can name your campaign. I like to abbreviate my books, and then I will abbreviate the ad. So this is a sponsored product ad, so I'll do SPA. That way, when I look at it, I know what kind of ad it is. And then I usually will put the bid amount. Brian Cohen recommends that. And then usually I keep an Excel file with a couple of different ad headlines or ad text. You don't want to use just one. You want to write a couple so you can experiment. And then I'll just do add to. All right. And then you can select your portfolio, which I'll put it in the proper portfolio, which I have to search for it. Select it like that. And then you can select an end date if you want. There's two schools of thought on end dates here. The first thought is that Amazon may be more likely to show your ads if there's a shorter time frame. The second thought is some people don't like to set end dates because they might forget that their ads are running and then the ads turn off and then you have to restart them again, and then you know it kind of sucks because you lose some sales. All right, and your ads turn off for a time. So it's up to you what you want to do. I usually will put an end date in there. I usually will go about 60 days out, but that's just me. All right, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just do that because it's easy to remember. And then I set a calendar reminder that's a recurring to go in and change my dates and kick it out another 60 days. And I do that once a month. All right, so you do what you feel is necessary. And then for daily budget, Amazon will allow you to advertise as low as $1 a day. I don't recommend that. I started off at $1 a day and I had almost no success. And also these days, your average cost per click is going to be at least 40 cents, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on the time you watch this. $1 is not going to get you very far. All right. So I recommend $5 a day. I know that scares some people, but just keep in mind that Amazon will not spend your money. You've got to beg them to spend your money. If you create an ad with a budget of $5 a day, they will not spend $5. You'll be lucky if they spend $1. Honestly. All right. So the key to winning at Amazon ads is that you have to have a bulk of a lot of Amazon ads that are running at the same time. And then you manage your spend at the portfolio level. And there are some things that you can do to manage your budget, like putting in a budget on top of a portfolio, for example. But yeah, I would recommend $5 a day. I'm usually doing between $5 and $10 a day. With some campaigns, I'll do up to $15. I know some authors that'll do like $100 a day, but you probably don't want to do that. That's kind of an advanced tactic. So when you're ready, just launch the campaign. And then this is the screen that will appear. So it's going to take up to 72 hours. Usually it takes between 1 and 4, honestly. And when you get approved, it will be an email that comes into your inbox. Now, I want to show you what that email looks like, because you would think that it would be worded very simply like, hey, your ad has been approved. But it doesn't look like that. So I just want to show you what it looks like so you know when your ad has been approved. This is what this is what the emails look like. It's going to say in the subject line, your ad has been moderated. Amazon could use better words here. What they're saying is that, they've looked at it and they've made a decision on it. All right. So really what you're going to see here is it's going to say below ads are eligible to be served on Amazon. What they're saying here, to speak English, is they're saying your ad has been approved. All right. So I don't know why they do that with the subject line. It makes it look like there's something wrong with your ad, when in reality there's not. Now, if they didn't accept your ad and it got rejected, they'll tell you, it'll say something like, this ad has been rejected because it doesn't meet our guidelines or whatever, and they'll give you a reason. But if you see this means you did it right, and your ad will start to show. All right, so now I'm going to create a standard ad, and you can see how this works and what it looks like. All right. So I'm going to do an automatic ad, but I'm just going to do a standard ad. So it means I'm not going to put in any text. All right. Now it'll ask you to enter in an ad group. I usually would just name it the same as the portfolio name. I don't pay that much attention to it. Maybe I should, but so I'll add in the book here. What I will also do is change my default bid here. And then just make sure you don't forget to change that. It's a rookie mistake. Everybody does it. You forget to change it. And then I'll change this to dynamic bids down only. And then you rename it. And as you'll notice, the only thing I didn't have to do here is I didn't have to put in any text. All right. So what I would recommend that you do, your first 2 ads should be one ad with text, and then do a couple of different variations of your text, of your ad copy, and then do one ad with no text. And then that's basically 2 or 3 ads that you can create just in a few minutes. Now, to save time, I'm just going to use standard ads from now on so I don't have to add in any text. And Amazon ads is acting a little weird and not loading my books. So just make it easier for me to continue showing you the tutorial. So now I'm going to go over a different type of ad here. So I'm going to talk about category ads. So I'm going to throw in a ad group name here, and then I'll select my book. You know how that goes. And then I'm going to select manual targeting here. Now, with manual targeting, I have 2 choices. I can do a category ad or I can do a keyword ad. Now, keyword ads are the ads that most people are familiar with. These are when you find a bunch of keywords that are related to your book. So titles of other books, other author names that write books similar to yours, interests or genres such as urban fantasy, clean romance, reverse harem, those sorts of things. And you find as many keywords as you can, and then you put those keywords into this ad, and then the ad will go off and you'll bid on those keywords to show up on the product pages. All right, these are the most common ads. This is where to me where Amazon ads are won, because ultimately it's about keyword research. So you find as many keywords as you can to create your first round of ads. You wait 30, 60 days. You look at your search term reports. You figure out which keywords you're getting clicks on, which keywords you're getting sales on, and then you figure out if those keywords make sense. All right. And you can start to find that Amazon will recommend keywords that you had never thought of. All right. So over time, the keyword ads are the ones that you will be able to keep generating, and the ones that you will probably have the most success with if you stick with it. All right. And then there's also category ads or product targeting ads. This is where you can actually target specific categories, and then your book will basically be shotgunned. So you can basically have your book appear to any of those books potentially in that category. It's nice because all you have to do is select a category. All right. So with a keyword ad, I'll create that one first. I scroll down here. I have this keyword targeting. All right. So under suggested bid, first thing I always do is I change this to custom bid, and it's always going to be too high. So I'll change that to whatever bid I want. I won't go over the match types, broad, phrase, or exact. That's more, I just want people to understand how to create these ads. Basically, as you learn which keywords work for you, you can determine with what level of granularity you want. Do you want Amazon to use variations on the keyword, which is broad? Do you want it to find variations on the phrase, or do you only want to bid on an exact phrase? All right. It's just a way to help you refine your keyword targeting just a little bit more, but we're not going to go over that. All right. So if I go to enter list, I can enter in keywords. All right. So I can do self-publishing. I can do writing. I can do my own name. I can do writing books. You get the picture. And I'm not going to go over how to find keywords. I recommend checking out Publisher Rocket. I'll drop in an affiliate link. That's the tool that I use to find Amazon ad keywords. You can find hundreds of keywords very quickly with just a few searches. Or what you could do things the hard way. You could go down here as you start to type. You'll see some different keywords that appear, and you can certainly, if you want, select keywords that make sense for your book. Okay, and then when you're ready, just click the Add Keywords button, and always verify over here in the bid column that your bid is correct. Sometimes what I accidentally do is I'll forget to change the suggested bid to custom, and when I add it over here, it'll be way too high. So it's a rookie mistake. Make sure you're always checking that. To campaign bidding strategy, and this is exactly the same, and then all of this down here is exactly the same. That is, my friends, how you create a keyword ad. Now let's create a category ad. Creating category ads is basically the same process when you start. So you go into manual targeting, and then instead of keyword targeting, you select product targeting. And then down here, this will allow you to choose a suggested bid, which I recommend you don't do that. And sometimes you'll see there's no relevant categories available. Usually Amazon will find relevant categories for your book. They're acting a little weird as I record this video. They're being a little shy. So I can search for categories if I want. And usually where I will go is I will go under Kindle Store and Books. All right. So Books, that is the paperback store. All right. And then the Kindle Store obviously is the Kindle Store. Those are the only two I would pay attention to. Don't pay attention to Audible because you can't run ads for audiobooks. You can't run ads on audiobook pages. And those ads tend to be pretty expensive. So I would not mess with Audible. I also wouldn't mess with any of other categories for like physical products unless you really know what you're doing. You'll find that those just usually won't bear you fruit and they'll just eat up your clicks. All right. So if I were you, if you want to make sure that you're doing this right, just focus on categories within books and within the Kindle Store. All right. So let's just say I want to advertise. This book is a business. It's actually a reference book. It's a couple of different things you can do with it. But I'll scroll down and under word, language, and grammar, or right here we go. Writing, research, and publishing. This is a good one right here. All right. Book publishing reference, book publishing industry. That's a perfect category. So I'm going to select add. And then you'll see the path right here. So the path you want to pay attention to is this right here. How does it start? It should start with books or it should start with Kindle Store. If it doesn't start with books or Kindle Store, you've selected probably the wrong category. All right. So this is all good. And I can see here that there are 188 to about 314 products in this particular category. So this is a pretty small category, to be honest with you. A lot of categories are a lot bigger than that. But this is pretty good. So the question is, and this is a pick your poison thing, is you can add multiple categories to an ad, or you can do one ad per category. I recommend one ad per category. Why? Because then you can go down here and you can name your ad based on your category. So like I can name it, this is for 150 self-publishing questions answered. I can name it SPC for sponsored product category ad. And then I can also put in the bid amount. And then I can also throw in the category. So I'll say it is BookPub industry or something like that. Something to help me remember it. Okay, I do that. It's just easier. It's easier to track when you're looking at your ads and your analytics to know what ad is what. And as you start to run a lot of ads, you'll forget. You won't be able to remember all this. So it's just easier to keep things separate. It's a little bit more work, but trust me that it's worth it. Now that's how you can run a category ad. You can also run individual product ads. So for example, if I search here, I can search for a particular book. And I can run ads to that book or group of books. All right. And that also could be a way to do this as well. All right. Now, here's the thing you have to remember about category ads. You have to be careful of category ads because, as I said, you're kind of scattershotting your ads out there. You don't really know what books the ad is going to appear on. And as we all know, people don't always classify their books properly on Amazon. So you could have an urban fantasy book, for example, that could get advertised in a paranormal romance novel, for example. And sometimes you have to be careful because you'll get people that will click on that ad, but then they won't buy your book. So you just have to be careful with your category ads. Keep a very close eye on them. When I created my first ones, I found that they would often be the first ads to turn on, so to speak. And they would sometimes, if I wasn't watching them, they would start eating up a bunch of clicks and I wouldn't get anything to show for it. All right. But that's not to say you shouldn't do them. You should absolutely do them, but just be careful. Keep an eye on them and keep an eye on where you're getting your clicks. Okay. So now how do I gauge how my ads are performing? All right. So just some general rules of thumb. What I like to do is I like to sort things in a certain way. So what I like to do is I will look at my ads. Obviously, there's not much happening in this portfolio, okay? But what I like to do is I'll filter by impressions. So I'll filter so that impressions are on the top. And this will tell me which ads are turning on. Generally speaking, if it's over 1,000 impressions, the ad is on, All right. So I know that this ad here is pretty much where all the action is happening. But this one got a click too. All right. So then what I'll look for is I'll look for which ads got clicks. So I'll look for a couple things. The big thing I like to look for, and it's just me, I like to try to look for ads where there's very few clicks, but the spend is very high compared to the other ads. So, like for example here, this click cost me 8 cents, which is great, right? But this one cost me 26 cents. All right. But this 8-cent one got me a sale. At least Amazon says that. All right. So that's good to know. So what is the difference between these two? Like I would want to know that because it's a big difference. So first, I like to look at what's going right. All right. So let's take a look at this one right here. So if you click on the name of the ad and then you go into the ad, depending on the type of ad, this is I think this was a keyword ad. I can go in here and I can figure out what's going on. So if I go to this targeting button, and this will look different depending on the type of ad that you have. All right. But if I go on here and I go down here, and oddly enough, the term lion got me a sale. I did not plan this. That's kind of weird. Usually that's not what you will usually see some terms that don't make any sense at all. Okay. The term book or something gets you a sale. You don't want to target these things. Like, don't go out and target the term lion. This is just a happy accident. All right. Now, that happened. Okay. So there's probably not a whole lot I can do about this. But let's just say, humor me for a moment, that the title of another book, was right here. And I had no idea what this book was. So I go on Amazon and I look at it. Oh, and this book is really similar to my book. Okay, that is an example. That's when you go and you take the name of that book, you take the author name of that book, and then you take any themes or interests of that book, and then you put those as keywords for your next ad. All right, that's how you start to figure out stuff. But here, this was just a happy accident. All right, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But one thing you probably would want to watch though is sometimes what can happen is this term lion. You could get a bunch of people start clicking on that term for whatever reason, and you start paying money that you don't want to pay. So I probably should keep a close eye on this and just make sure that this doesn't start to eat up clicks. But hey, that's kind of a success. I paid 8 cents for a reader, and I sold a book at $3.99. I'll take that every day of the week. So if I look at this other one here, I can sell. It doesn't have very many impressions, but I'll click on it. My ad appeared on this term, and somebody clicked on it, and it cost me 26 cents. This term has, obviously magic is a term that I want, but I kind of paid for something that doesn't really make any sense. Okay, so should I panic? No, I'm not going to panic on something like this, but this is the kind of stuff you want to keep a very close eye on. All right, you want to be just paying attention to what is getting clicks. I would much rather be getting clicks on Brothers Grimm than something like Magic, but sometimes you never know. As I showed you with that last ad, you can get happy accidents. So just pay attention to what's getting your clicks, and really what you're looking for are things that just make no sense whatsoever. Okay, so for something like this, I could easily just turn this off if I wanted to. Yeah, once I had one where I did some keyword research and I got a bunch of keywords from Publisher Rocket, and I didn't realize there was a keyword in there that wasn't relevant to my book, and it was like Be the Dog. It was like a dog ownership training manual or something like that, and it ate up like $4 worth of clicks in like 6 hours, and I was like, what is going on here? And I looked at it, and it turns out this had nothing to do with my ad. So I just turned that off like this. All right. So just keep an eye on stuff. That's really the lesson here. Just remember that you don't necessarily want to manage your ads at this level of granularity. I would pay more attention to the overall portfolio. Is the overall portfolio making money? If it is, something you're doing is working. Now, you can also download all of your search term results into an Excel sheet. I'm not going to go over that, but that is also another way where you can mine your data and figure out where your clicks are coming from, where your search terms are coming from, and then how to find some additional targets to create additional keyword ads. All right. And it also give you an indicator of which terms maybe you want to turn off. Now, some people will ask, well, if an ad is not performing, do I turn it off? Meaning, if there's no impressions or if it's getting a bunch of clicks that aren't relevant, that sort of thing. I usually don't turn my ads off. I will keep them on. And the reason for that is because I never know. I've had some ads that I've turned off that were actually making me money and I didn't realize it. And then my sales dropped and it's like, oh, wait a minute. That ad actually was doing something. So as I said, you can't trust the Amazon dashboard data. The key is just to start with a few ads, figure out how they're doing. This is a long-term game. It's not something that you're gonna win at right away. It took me probably about 6 months before I got the hang of this. And even then, I was still constantly retargeting and figuring things out and retweaking it. So I hope that this video just gives you some confidence to at least get started and start playing. And check the video description for some courses that will be very helpful to you and will cost you a little bit of money, but will make sure that you're doing this correctly and increase the chances of you making a profit. What did you think? Was this video helpful to you? Let me know in the comments. If you have any questions regarding Amazon ads, I'd be happy to answer them as best as I can. I will also link to some courses that are expensive but are worth every penny that will help you improve your knowledge and take that to the next level as well. Good luck with your ads.